Welcome back to the channel, my friends. It's going to be a double upload today. Super busy, super eventful day in the internet world. Today, while I was scrolling on Twitter, not even today, but just a few minutes ago, 15 minutes in fact, I ended up seeing Kirst, who is Inabber's ex-girlfriend, who we ended up talking about yesterday, who posted a bunch of tweets and things calling out Inabber for being toxic in a relationship and a whole bunch of other allegations and things that I haven't quite hit the limit of time on the video yet to discuss, but Inabber ended up dropping a Google Doc of his own talking about the different, situations going on in their relationships, brief disproving of the allegations made by Kirsty, and it was this long 18, page document that we went over, and he talked about the different allegations and pretty much argued his case that he wasn't the toxic one in their relationship. Literally 15 minutes ago, Kirst would drop her own document. So Kirst would drop her own 31-page Google Doc here, and of course you all know I'm going to read it for you, so get comfortable, let's dive in, let's see where this leads, if it leads anywhere, and of course I will give you all my takes and my opinions and my thoughts as we go through it, while you guys watch some funny gameplay, probably me being bad at Elden Ring or something. Alright, so let's get this party started. My relationship with Inabber. I want to start by saying this is information that I never wanted to disclose publicly, but I have been given no choice. I want to note that whilst there are many horrible situations that I endured, the whole relationship wasn't awful. I had a lot of love for Fraser at one point, and there are many moments that I hold dear, but they do not make up for the fact that there were also traumatic ones. In this doc, I'll be sharing personal stories supported by dates, photographs, and screenshots from social media and text messages. Being that Fraser and I live together, we are rarely apart. A lot of what happened did not transpire over text. A narrative has been spun that I have made all this up for attention, which isn't the case. Fraser attempted to disprove me by recognizing that I did not text him about our issues, which is groundless. Alice was extremely brave, and it made me feel like I should speak up, too, after seeing Fraser go straight to defense on his stories. He's not the saint he makes himself out to be. He's manipulative and a chronic liar. I've never met someone with such a Jekyll and Hyde personality like him. Regarding Fraser saying I backtracked upon what I said, I posted a reiterated version of my original post to confirm he was included in me saying I don't think anyone knew the extent in which Alex was abusing Alice. I wanted to clear some confusion. I didn't backtrack. When mentioning about physical implications, I was talking about my hair loss, the photos on page 18, involuntary vomiting, intense nausea, migraines, and so on. I thought that was clear. Someone raised a point which made it seem he physically hurt me, and I didn't want that to be what people believed. Although there was abuse, mistreatment, and other forms, he never hit me and I would never claim otherwise. Not a backtrack, a confirmation. And for context, that is regarding a tweet where she said that he oftentimes, would do things to her, and then he said she made sure to emphasize physically, which she's saying that was not a backtrack, but I think for anyone who has like reading comprehension can see that indeed is backtracking. If you say someone does things to you physically, that does imply hand to hand or, physical touch. That doesn't imply yourself like going through things like vomiting, nausea, migraines. That's not what physical, pain or physical harm means. Back to the document. Him giving screenshots of me in a time where I was very clearly in an unstable place mentally just further proves my point. Handpicking moments without context and using them as a scapegoat when they were tiny moments in our daily interactions in person is something I am not surprised he has done. I have a trauma bond to Fraser, one that I continue to struggle with and work on in therapy. Him using my codependency to disprove my experiences was frankly appalling. A big reason as to why I have never been so public about this is because he has a huge following, and the power dynamic between us is crippling, and was throughout the entire relationship, but nonetheless I am sharing my story. This is kind of a big one. We experienced the same thing with Alice, where she wanted to make sure that she had enough evidence, which was, the 82-page document with screenshots, videos. And we see this a lot with celebrities. Just recently we see what's going on with, P. Diddy, and so many people who are, in power do have that ego mindset, the fame associated where someone who is, lower than them, on the status totem pole, whether it be fame, money, they kind of feel like they can't speak out because this person in power can just silence them. And I guess this is, Kirst's way of saying she's been waiting. She hasn't wanted to come out because she always felt like she'd be silenced or that no one would listen to her side of the story. And seeing what happened with Alice is a way of her finally being able to say, okay, I guess it's my time to come out. Further context, we met Boxing Day 2021. He asked for a relationship January 17th, 2022. He asked me to move in January 31st, 2022. I spent a lot of time at his, but didn't officially move in until July 2022. We moved to the second flat March 2023, broke up April 2023. I moved out in December 2023. Things were sour from March 2022. As you will see, things went sour very quickly. Now this next part is going to be about a dog, and it's going to involve like dog bites and things. So I'm probably going to be censoring a lot just because I don't know how YouTube treats that. There's like blood and things like that. So of course the Google Docs, everything is down below. So you can go look at it yourself if you want to see the uncensored and unedited images. This title is called Kenji. Kenji was fully one of the biggest strains on our relationship being mendable. Kenji had a lot of issues with food aggression and fear-based aggression. When we went on holiday, the Fraser's friend looked after Kenji and he bit him when being fed. Fraser told me that this had never happened before and I was confused. He lied to me. Kenji had bitten other people before but hid it from me. The first time he had bitten me was when I had fed him for the first time. I'd put the food in his bowl and placed it down and Kenji started eating, but Fraser was adamant that I needed to wrap the rest of the tin up and put it in the fridge, otherwise he would be aggressive. He told me to take his food away and do that. So I did. I put the bowl back on the counter and started wrapping the tin like he said. Kenji was just barking at first, so neither me or Fraser thought anything of it. Then he started attacking me and ripped my PJ bottoms to shreds and got a few bites in one of my legs. Fraser admitted he shouldn't have told me to take the food away, but said that he had never done anything like that before. And then the picture says the first bites I had, and it shows it's her leg, and it's pretty bad. There's bites, and there's like this yellow, I don't know how you would describe it. It's like yellow skin, so you can tell it's badly bitten, it's badly bruised, maybe some type of infection. That's just me. I'm not a doctor. Kenji also has a lot of noises he is scared of. He is also scared of people being in the kitchen with their backs turned to him. I was aware of this and was cleaning the kitchen one morning when I had gotten up really early. Kenji was in his crate and made no fuss about what I was doing, so when I was done, I let him out of his crate. We had cuddles on the sofa and then I wanted to make a coffee. I made it with no issues and went to sit with him, but then he started to attack me. He was chasing me and trying to bite me in the most savage way I had ever seen. I was screaming for help from Fraser, but somehow he didn't hear me or Kenji's barking. I ended up pulling a blanket straight and held it in front of me so he couldn't bite me, and he was biting that instead. I climbed onto the sofa, still screaming for Fraser. Nothing. I changed my tactics and spoke to Kenji calmly, and after a while, he calmed down. I tried to get up to leave the room, but when I moved, he tried to attack me again. He had me stuck on top of the sofa, not being able to move. He guarded me. If I moved in any way, even to try and get more comfortable, he would go to attack me. I was messaging and calling Fraser in hopes he would wake up to come help. 2 hours, I was stuck on top of the sofa, silently sobbing whilst he watched me before Fraser came in. Kenji had attacked me and Fraser a few times. Kenji even bit Fraser's face and hands once. We got a specialist trainer, made a routine, and made a lot of changes that seemed to benefit him and his behavior. I was consistent, Fraser was not. He would stick at the training and routine for a week and then slack. Then Kenji would be back at square one. When we moved flats in March 2023, Fraser abandoned him, crate training, and wanted him to sleep in the bed with us again. He was adamant that it was fine, because Kenji was fine in this flat and had no issues with the kitchen or noises like he did before. As soon as Kenji showed improved behavior, Fraser would throw all training out the window no matter how many times his issues came back. One night, Fraser was having a tough time with some YouTube stuff and was angry. He was shouting from his office and it was impacting Kenji, so I asked him to stop. He apologized and said it was just his work stressing him out. He then went back to being frustrated and I asked him to shut his office door. He slammed it. The noise had Kenji on the edge. He was climbing on top of me and pacing around the bed. I was just on my phone in bed, and the next minute he started savagely barking and lunged for my face. I put my arms in front of me, and he attacked my arm. Frantic biting, it was terrifying. I got on top of him and pinned him down, and then Fraser came in from hearing my screaming. This was my last straw. And we have photos of her arms, and these are bad. Like, you can see holes in her skin with like blood pouring out. Like, it looks like she's got bitten up by a vampire, or like someone had like a little gun and they were just taking shots at her. It's bad. Again, Google Doc. This next one, you can see it kind of healed, but she does have like this terrible yellow blue bruising, really bad looking scars. Like, this looks like she took her arm at a chainsaw or something and not a dog. It's insane. This was the only time Fraser had accompanied me to the hospital after one of Kenji's attacks. He cried the whole time about how he was going to lose his dog and didn't comfort me at all. I had to comfort him. He didn't sleep in our bed for 3 nights, couldn't look at me or speak to me for days. I was dealing with fresh trauma and he ignored me. He made me call the vets to organize an appointment to get their advice, as his aggression was too dangerous for us to live with now. I had been attacked by his dog yet again, and he made me call the vets like it was my responsibility. We go to the appointment and they suggest putting him down or sending him to a shelter for aggressive dogs. They give us time outside to talk about the options, and Fraser was adamant on keeping Kenji. He wasn't getting rid of his dog. At this point, Kenji had attacked multiple people, not just us. After I posted about the attack, I had the other people Kenji had bitten tell me all about their experiences and how it impacted them. This dog's aggression was dangerous. I had experienced it relentlessly for over a year. I told Fraser that he couldn't keep him for everyone's safety and he needed to be rational. The vet had suggested him being put down, as they even said that don't do this unless it's needed. Yet he refused and was going to keep him. Fraser had no regard for other people's safety. He never committed to the training, and Kenji's attacks continued to get more violent. I was done. I was tired of the constant fighting between us. I was done with the control Fraser had over my life. I was done living in a never-ending state of fear over a dog I shared a house with. I broke up with Fraser and traveled back to the flat. Next, we have these screenshots right here that show Fraser saying night X, and she says, Fraser, nah, tell me you're joking right now. That's out of pocket otherwise. He sends a smiley face, whatever. It's an old pic. Ha ha ha. It's not funny. It's kind of funny. No, smile, frowny face. All right, for you, maybe, but you weren't stuck on top of the sofa for over 2 hours after being attacked by him. He also hasn't left multiple scars on your legs. Like, it's not funny. Yeah, whatever, man. She says he would send me photos of Kenji in a room which the trainer said he shouldn't have access to as a laugh to someone who's being terrorized by Kenji. He says, sorry, I was eating. Kenji may not be in his cage right now, but he will be soon, okay? Also, you're a predator. She says, you telling me he's in the bedroom? Yes. And not in a cage? Excuse me? Not yet. Rules are rules. And then he would send the picture of the dog just chilling next to a TV. She says, more proof he would ignore the trainer's advice. Kenji wasn't allowed in the bedroom as he had attacked me a few times when I would try and get into bed if he was already asleep on it. She shows a few more screenshots of like the conversations they had with the dog, and then she says, I find these messages ironic now. Not only did he make a joke about me being abused by his dog, something he did regularly, but it describes our situation very clearly. He love-bombed me, and I fell for it because I was desperate to be loved. I really do understand how hard it must have been being told you need to put down your pet or that they need to go to a shelter, but Fraser made it all about himself. I had no support from him. And he says on Twitter, we're in an A&E now, but like God, this hurts emotionally. Genuinely try not to have a panic attack in this hospital. The entire time we were in hospital for my dog bites, he was on his phone and tweeting. I was having to console him when the reason we were in a hospital was because of the dog bites. I needed to get treated. He says, I think the worst part of all of this is getting back and Kenji's all happy and excited to see us. Just makes it feel even worse. She says, the worst part was going back to see Kenji being happy. I don't know, the worst part for me was seeing my arm being slung about like a chew toy, having no emotional support from my boyfriend, having to console him instead, and then being ignored for a few days. The struggles and experience I had from living with Kenji left me with PTSD. I still have nightmares and fears of some dogs. And that's where we wrap up the dog portion of the doc. Overall, pretty insane. Obviously, having a dog that's literally brutalizing you every other week, every few weeks is not a relationship you want to be a part of. And then when you have, the part of the owner of the animal not taking the necessary steps to, keep it safe, it definitely does seem like a very strange dynamic, I guess you could say. And then teasing someone that literally just had like their entire arm and even himself had his face bitten up by the dog to then, tease, make jokes about it. Hey, haha, he's gonna get you. He's scary. Haha, he's trapped. Haha. It's not funny. So, yeah, I'm definitely kind of on the side of Kirst here. All right, so the next heading is called sexual coercion. So, I guess trigger warning, we're gonna be getting real serious. No jokes. So when Frazier took us on holiday at the start of our relationship, there were multiple times where he was pressuring me into having sex with him when I said no. On the holiday, I came on my period. We had sex once and made a mess. I didn't like the fact that cleaners had to deal with such bloody sheets, so said I didn't want to have sex on his holiday again. He kept pressuring me multiple times, even though I kept saying no. He didn't go too far, but this alone is not okay. The one that I made me feel the most uncomfortable was when Frazier paid for us to have the spa to ourselves again. This was COVID restrictions of the hotel in February 2023. He had already stated he wanted to have sex in the spa. When we were there, we were intimate in that we were cuddly and kissing a lot, a bit handsy as well. But I said I didn't want to actually do anything as there were cameras everywhere and he knew I said this. When our hour was up, I said we needed to go as they come and got you if you overstayed your time. Frazier then started constantly begging me to stay longer and rubbing my legs, saying how we should have some more fun. I got out of the pool and it was sulking, saying that I was ruining a good time and that we should stay longer. Again, I repeated that our time was up and someone will come, so we should just go. He stomped his feet and kept huffing, tutting, and moaning. This went on for a while. Eventually, we left. It was such an uncomfortable walk up to the room, as he was in a really bad mood because I didn't want to have sex in the spa. We got into an argument about it when we got back to the hotel room, and he left. So we have a screenshot of conversation. He says, "Are we cool?" She says, "Swear we have the same mind. We're just cute. I want my sandwich. I want to get even drunker. Me too. That's why I'm waiting for this wine. Let's F in the spa. On my way." He says, "This sandwich, I'm going to. It's so nice. Mate, why do they put nuts on everything? I'll take time off." And there's a voice note. "Ooh, whenever you feel comfortable for me to be back, just say. But if you could make that sooner than later, that would be nice because it's freaking freezing. Like soon, this is the worse than I thought it would be." On FaceTime to Carmen, "Sorry, I never said for you to leave, so I really don't understand why you did. Just to give you space, it's a small room. I never asked for that, I said it was fine out there. I honestly needed time to myself too. I want to speak to you about something, but you don't want to, so I needed time, even though I'm freezing currently." Multiple times on this holiday, he tried pressuring me into sex, and multiple times I kept saying no. This caused a lot of tension, and we had a few nasty arguments about it. Thankfully, this was the only time he did this. Now, it's time that I get canceled. No, it's not. This is an interesting situation. I think, of course, if a woman says no, it doesn't have to be a woman. Any partner you have, if you say, "Hey, let's do the nasty," they say no, then you're like, okay. And then if you ask, "Yeah, hey, can we do the nasty?" they say no. I mean, from Frazier's point of view, it does get a little, I guess, tiring if you have a partner with you and you want to be intimate with them. You're in this place, you're kind of in this relaxing setting where you just want to have some fun, be a little intimate, make a little love with your partner in crime, and they keep saying no, no, no. I would understand why he would be upset. Again, it doesn't give you the right to um, I guess be upset in the way where you would take it out on someone or be like, "Okay, well, bye, I'm gonna leave since you don't want to talk." Because that is definitely a bit of manipulation where you're like, "Well, if you don't want to screw, then I'm gonna just go do something else." It's definitely some sort of manipulation, but I would say that, I don't know, it's more predatory if it was just a random person, but a partner just saying, "Hey, can we have sex?" and you say no, and then they just kind of get a little upset, to me isn't the worst thing in the world. It's definitely not like a good thing, but I wouldn't say it's horrible. The next chapter is Confinement. Frazier had, or still has, I don't know, actually know, a lot of anxiety surrounding filming with other people around. He mentioned this to me, but not the severity. The first time he got angry about it was before we went on that holiday. I was very tired and was napping on the sofa. He wanted to walk to Canary Wharf to go pick up some bed sheets for his friend that would be looking after Kenji whilst we were away. I wasn't fully aware that this was because he wanted to film whilst I was gone, so I was going to do it after I had napped. He had texted me, but I hadn't seen it that I was asleep. He had gotten very stressed out and came into the living room and snapped at me if I was going to get the bed sheets or not. I said I was going to, I just wanted to nap for a little longer as I was tired. He then stormed out, slamming the living room door, slamming his office door, and started playing music extremely loud. When I say loud, it was vibrating the floors loud. I got scared and thought he needed space, so decided to go to get the sheets. I didn't tell him I had left as I was scared to talk to him after that. And we have a text conversation. It's him saying, I need to record a video, and if I don't, I won't have anything to release next week, and John Lewis closes in less than an hour, meaning I will have no bed sheets. I haven't even packed. The later this gets done, the less sleep I'm going to get. And question mark, question mark, question mark. What size sheets? What, you left? Yeah, what size sheets, please? Why wouldn't you say? King size, but question mark. I'm not going to have enough time now. Just sheets or duvet covers as well. Sheets. Why would you not say? Because you slammed 2 doors and played loud music, so I took that as you wanted to be left alone. Slam 2 doors, what? And listen to music? Come on. I was working out and listening to music because we're not going to the gym, and then played Rocket League waiting for. Even then, he would try and gaslight me, telling me he hadn't done things that he did. Now, where do we start here? I can kind of understand where he's coming from, where he gets a little nervous or like feels a little weird when people are around when he's trying to film. I'm kind of the same way. Like I prefer to edit when like everyone is downstairs because my room is in my second floor. I kind of prefer to edit and work on my videos when everyone's downstairs and there's not a lot of moving around, people going up and down the stairs, the hallway light turning on, things like that. So I can kind of understand that point, but I would never, freak out about it, slam doors, and have a little hissy fit rage. After I had moved in, he told me I couldn't be in the flat whilst he was filming, and for a bit this was no problem. But I was also experiencing very heavy and long periods at the time due to my implant and would get horrible cramps and headaches. I didn't like that I had to leave what was now our home. Whenever he would film, as he would sometimes spring it on me last minute, expecting me to leave. Sometimes I would go to the gym for a few hours, but the other times I had to stay in the bedroom with the doors closed. He started off being understanding about this, but as time went on, the situation became horrible. When I first started having to stay in the room, he would let me know nicely if I needed to put headphones in or if I was distracting him. Then it became I wasn't allowed to make any noise at all. These also started off as 40-minute to an hour filmings, but then became much longer as he made longer content. Now, this is completely unfair to her. I feel like if you are going to be in a relationship, you have to understand that, of course, the other person in your home is going to have their own life cycle. They're going to want to do things and walk around and live inside their own home, watch TV, play games, do whatever they want to do for fun, talk to friends, talk on the phone. And yeah, having someone be like, hey, can you shut up for an hour? I'm about to go film a video. And it's very easily able to turn into 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, which she gets into later. And I think that's completely unfair to her. If you're going to be someone like this, then you just shouldn't live together, or you should figure out a way that you can edit and knock your content out of the way while she's out of the home, instead of kind of forcing her to leave the home. There were times when I was shut in that room, not being able to make any noise for almost 5 hours on many occasions. He would come in after filming and have a go at me for if I had gone to the toilet and flushed the loo. One time I was poorly and he had shouted at me for coughing and for being inconsiderate. I had to be so silent that he wouldn't be able to notice I was in the flat, and if he heard anything I was shouted at after for not respecting his anxiety surrounding filming, and that if he couldn't film, he couldn't make a living. When this arrangement started, he would let me know as soon as he had finished. Then it turned into him not letting me know, would start gaming instead and leave me unaware or if I could come out or not. For hours, I would be shut in that room, not being able to get drinking water or food, tiptoeing to the toilet and trying to pee as quietly as possible out of fear or being shouted at and not being able to make any noise at all. Was horrible. I felt like a prisoner in my own home. Sometimes I would get angry because if I left my medication in the kitchen or living room, I couldn't get it. I will admit that there was one time where I just had enough and went and very angrily got my meds and then slammed the door on my way out. At this point, she kind of elaborates on the situation and how Frasier made her feel like, she'd feel comfortable and amazing and everything would be great if they lived together and it ended up causing her to be like super sad, really depressed, just overall in a really bad like head state because she was stuck in this home where she couldn't even make the smallest of noises, do anything she wanted to do because Frasier would freak out. She says, Frasier trying to cover this up is infuriating. Like I said, yes, we agreed to it. It did start off as a little while, but then the situation became abusive and it wrecked me. I fully understand having to be quiet so his mic didn't pick up noise, but if he heard me move or cough, he gave a completely unwarranted overreaction. I don't have recordings, but here are some screenshots of me mentioning it and Frasier acknowledging he does get aggressive. None of the same context, but he would also shout at me for interrupting him if he was gaming. As you can see, he doesn't deny it. And we have her posting a picture, I guess is like an Instagram story. Living with an influencer is not fun when you get locked in the bedroom for hours on end so they can film. And then you have a dog looking at food. This is how I look at you versus how you look at me when you're gaming. And it's a guy like revving a punch. You kept interrupting during a boss battle. The world doesn't stop for boss battles, babe. Yeah, I can tell. X. Another one from her Instagram story. On another note, I'm absolutely miserable at the moment. I want things to be different so bad, but it's just not going to happen. To top it all off, my eye is swollen and I don't know why. This was me talking about our relationship because the arguments and how / what he would say to me and being shut in a room for most of the time was really getting me down. Another one says, I just want one day. Even when I weren't in London, there were bad arguments. He would start over the phone. I was absolutely miserable. And yeah, it's pretty horrible. I mean, she definitely did have to go through a bunch of verbal abuse, having to basically be a, mouse behind a wall or something, not even making a squeak because you're scared of getting screamed at because a guy wants to play video games or edit a video. There's definitely a much better way to go about this, telling people, hey, give me 1 hour, text me if you need anything, have your phone like on standby, like in the corner somewhere where you can still see it, but it doesn't make a noise. There's so many different things that Frasier could have done in this situation, and I'm completely on her side that it's not fair to have a partner that you're going to have in your home, basically as like a side character, like an NPC in your home, and they can't make a noise, they can't do anything, or they're just prone to being attacked, whichever way that they feel, whatever mood they're in, they're going to take it out on you in some way, shape, or form. Completely unfair. In the next chapter, My Weight, she ends up talking about how when her and Frasier first got together, it was during COVID, so they had to isolate. And they ended up talking about like types of people they liked, and Frasier would say that he doesn't like fat people or he doesn't find, fat women attractive, and he made a joke saying that he would probably break up with her if they ended up, gaining too much weight. And then when she did start to gain a little more weight, he stopped being affectionate with her. What really got me was when she says, eventually I was begging him and crying for acknowledgement and some form of intimacy, begging in tears for a hug. He started making comments when I was eating, saying, sure you want to be eating that? Didn't you already eat today? And that doesn't look healthy. And now I'm going to kind of dive in a little on my family structure. Like my family, they tease me a little bit. I used to be a little skinny. I went through a phase where I was kind of like muscular. I was kind of fit. And then, nowadays when I'm chugging down a big gulp of a slurp juice or maybe like a Big Mac, they'll be like, you sure you want to eat that? You ate a lot today, stuff like that. But I think that women take weight things like this a lot more. I think there's a lot more women, females with eating disorders and issues, and they look at themselves more in the mirror and judge themselves a lot more. So seeing comments like this from Frasier is kind of bad, quite frankly. And she brings up a callback to Frasier's document where he says that he didn't want to have sex with her because, he was a little depressed and stressed out from when his dad had a stroke and the medicine and stuff like that. But she says that this was way before that even happened, and she thinks that it's because of the weight gain that he just kind of stopped being attracted to her. Now in this chapter, she does say, the comment about there not being breakup sex was not me trying to pressure him into sex. I don't understand where that has come from. At the time, I was very insecure. As you can clearly see, I was just spewing thoughts. Not a big fan of this comment, quite frankly, because earlier on she ended up like making a big thing about him coercing her into sex and him wanting to have sex during their vacation that he only did one time, but she made it like an entire paragraph saying he was abusive for it. I think that you can literally compare the exact same thing. If you're going to text someone and be like, oh, so no breakup sex, no sex, blah blah blah, it's the same. If you're with a partner, you can make comments about sex. I think you can say things related to sex and it not be a humongous deal. It's just a thing where you're like, stop asking me for sex, and it's over like that. She also says that because of the comments over my eating habits and not thinking I was attractive due to my weight gain, I started restricting my food. I was starving myself, and restricting is something I am still struggling with because of the way he made me feel. I went from slightly overweight to now being underweight, struggling with my body image and restriction. And you have two pictures of her. She's pretty hot. We have another picture that I'm not going to be able to show. It's her on the left. She just looks like an average sized woman. I'm not going to say anything else. I like women with a little curve. So, I'm not trying to say she's bigger, but there's a picture of her, bigger, and then on the right, smaller. But in the picture on the right, she doesn't have clothing on, so I'm not showing that. Restricting and fear of gaining weight are still such a big issue for me. Being told over and over that I need to eat less and work out more drilled it into me that I needed to be tiny to have worth. Something I still can't shake from my mind today. No matter how much weight I lose, I do not feel good enough. She posts a whole bunch of TikToks and like Instagram stories about her. Not me crying over a pair of jeans. When me and my ex first got together, he told me he doesn't find fat people attractive and that if I gained weight, he would find me less attractive. When I gained weight, that happened. LOL. It caused me a lot of issues, and I tied my worth and my attractiveness to my size. When I put on those jeans today and they fit for the first time, I said, OMG, I'm becoming attractive again. She posts some more Instagram stories. Most days I think I'm still that chubby girl my ex thought was disgusting. Not being able to go to the gym right now kills me because all I can think about is him telling me I need to go to the gym. Or when I'm eating something I hear his voice telling me, should you be eating that? But today I'm feeling kind of good. I had 3 meals yesterday instead of 1, and even if there's a little bit of guilt, I slept really well and woke up with energy for the first time in months. I'm kind of happy with my body at the moment, and I don't want to lose any more weight, so I need to get over hearing his voice whenever I want to eat. Now, again, this is going to get me canceled. Go ahead and unsubscribe. Nah, hopefully you don't unsubscribe. Hopefully I'm not canceled, but I think that this is another situation where it's someone having a mental a thing in their head. Something mentally is making them feel one way, and someone's comments did not help the situation, but I would not directly link or even try to make the connection that one person's words and actions should be blamed for why you feel this way about yourself, if that makes sense. I do not think the comments are funny or nice. I've told my experience with having my family tease me and say like, oh, you shouldn't eat that, blah, blah, blah. You're getting a little chubby. But at the same time, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm so sad. I'm gonna like starve myself to death and it's all your fault. Like, I really don't think that's fair. I think there are different ways to handle it. I think if someone's comments bother you, you tell them that. And from there, if they keep doing it, if they go out of their way to make you feel horrible, then they are horrible. But we did not see that in this situation. I don't see anything about her telling him like, oh, it makes me feel so bad and I wish you wouldn't say that. And then he just continues to just belittle her and call her like a disgusting pig or like insult her. None of that happens. In this next chapter, Mental Health, she talks about how, her and Fraser, when they first began their relationship, he understood that she had depression and had a whole bunch of mental health issues, and he was completely supportive. And then as the relationship grew on and they moved in together, he became not so supportive. He would call her lazy and he would lecture her and say that she's just sitting in bed all day doing nothing and not doing anything with her life. And then she says in March 2023, he came into the bedroom and told me that I either had to go to therapy and get back on meds, or he would break up with me. This was a dark time for me. We were constantly fighting. He was belittling me all the time and knocked out all of my confidence. I was living with the aggressive dog who kept attacking me. I was still struggling with how in the old flat I was confined for hours, not being able to make any noise and got shouted. There was no love, no sex, no intimacy, It's all stopped months and months ago. His best friend was essentially bullying me, and he never said anything about it. And she then says, like, Frasier didn't care how many times the friend would pick on her or, make her feel bad or embarrassed. And she started to have, life ending thoughts. And I told Frasier this is when he gave me the ultimatum. Unlike what he posted the other day, he was aware of my mental state and how everything was getting to me. I promised him I would work on myself and apologized that my mental health was causing him stress. I tried to be a happier person for him. I put on a pretend happy face and we were okay until the last time Kenji attacked me. The impacts of the relationship were so detrimental to my mental health that I started losing hair when we were still together. No one speak to me. I haven't got an eyebrow. I started getting rashes over my body and face. I was told these were due to stress. Found this energy for a shower. The small things are so difficult right now to the point where it's embarrassing. Being with him was like being trapped. I had tried to break up with him in March 2022, September, October, and November of 2022. Every time it was promises of change, that he would do better, that things would be better for us, painting a picture of how I was with his family, he loved me and didn't want to lose me. Things never changed. After this, she says she tried to end her life and that everything kind of went back to normal, like her life got a little bit more stable. She started to, understand things a bit more, understand she didn't need Inabber in her life. And she talks about how he would throw it in her face every time they wanted to break up and that, she had no family and she didn't have a home and all kinds of other things, which is pretty crappy. And then she says for Frasier to claim he didn't know about my mental crisis is a complete lie. Obviously, I didn't tell anyone I was going to attempt, to end my life, but he was aware it happened after. Now, the next chapter was about finances. There's a whole lot of stuff here about money and her getting a job and her not wanting to accept his money to move out. A whole lot. It'd probably take me a whole nother 20 minutes to break this down, so I'm just gonna skip this. You could read it in the Google Docs. There are some good points here, but nothing really brutal, nothing, about abuse or anything crazy like that, so I'm just gonna skip to the next topic. And she ends up showing this screenshot of the text messages where Frasier's over here pouring his heart out, saying oh, I love you, I love that we never have any problems and you love my friends. She says, I'm happy you're happy, good, get some sleep, sorry, I'm bad, I'm being soppy, it's fine. Nah, I feel bad. She says, Frasier was obsessed with me from the moment we met. He couldn't be away from me for very long and did make me feel overwhelmed at times, you'll see. He sends her a dog. See you soon, OMG Kenji on tour. Cannot believe I'm randomly going to Nottingham. Sounds weird, but in my last relationship, I didn't once just get up and go to theirs when I felt like crap. So this is new, haha. I hope you're coming here actually makes you feel a little better then. No, it'll make me feel worse, X. Piss off. You want to fight? Being away from me made him feel anxious, and I apparently made him feel calm. I liked him and wanted to be there for him as he was overwhelmingly sweet, but us being together all the time was intense, and this came from him. And then there's just more screenshots of him asking stuff. She's saying, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm really stressing out and feeling low at the moment. I need time to sort myself out. Constant traveling. Having a suitcase of my things is making me feel so unsettled. So I think I definitely need time to get grounded again. I miss going to Pole and seeing my friends here. I don't like how irritable and sad I've been feeling. I'm just going to sort myself out and try to feel like myself again. And he would just spam her, saying, I get you're not settled. Can't lie, this reply wait is making me anxious. That's not me being a pest, I'm just overthinking. Whole lot to read if y'all want. Even when I told him I wanted to do my own thing, he would make me feel bad and want to come see me anyways. The longest time we had ever been apart during that relationship was 1 week. It was intense, and with the other things I've spoken about, I'm not surprised about the impacts it had on me. He took me on expensive dates, took me on a holiday after only being in a relationship for a few weeks, would constantly need to be with me, painted out what a dream life we could have together, and then once he had me, I was trapped in a soulless relationship in which I was belittled, confined, shouted at, and constantly being attacked by his dog. She then talks about how in June 2023 she overdosed. She wasn't in a good mindset, she blames a lot of it due to, the bad relationship that he had with Inabber. she would always think that there's light at the end of the tunnel in terms of the relationship, and arguments would be solved and everything will be fine because there'd be flowers and nice dates and vacations. And overall, she thinks that there's a huge amount of trauma that she got from the relationship, and she would end it off with, I admit the relationship was toxic and I did play a part in it. I was picking fights with him over small things. I was angry at him for, at the time, what felt like nothing. The way he treated me is no excuse for my behavior, and I have worked and continue to work very hard to make sure I am not the type of person. The very last girl I became in that relationship is a girl I don't recognize as myself. It is only when I started to see a future for myself I could let myself go of the toxic attachment and start finally seeing myself again. I'm still struggling with traumas I endured in that relationship, but I have never been happier and in a more secure place than I have been as of the last few months, but noticeably the past few weeks. I'm appalled I had to share information that I'm healing from, but I feel like I was given no choice. There we have it, my friends. Can you tell that my eyes hurt from reading all of that? We're 40 minutes in, and it's crazy to think that this entire situation stemmed from ImAllexx being, brought to justice with the 82-page document by Alice Hez. Inabber is being thrown into the mix. His ex-girlfriend got called out, and now she's called out Inabber with her own document that is 31 pages long. Again, you're going to have to let me know what you think of the entire situation down below. I kind of included my thoughts here and there throughout the video. There's not a lot more, on my mind regarding this whole situation. I think that it was a bad relationship. It was a toxic relationship. I think that's what you can call it. But as long as there was no physical hands being thrown, nobody got taken advantage of in any shape or form, whether it be sexually or physically, I really can't get too far into it. I can't delve too into it. I think that bad relationships happen and it's better for them to end. But a lot of people who have a lot of mental issues, a lot of people who are very stressed out and get stressed easily and get triggered easily and can't handle their emotions, whether it be Inabber, whether it be his girlfriend over here, ex-girlfriend. They weren't meant to be, and it ended up in both of them dropping humongous Google Docs for the world to see and analyze and break down and talk about, and that includes me. Now I have a migraine, so I am going to clock out right about here, and I hope you all enjoyed. Subscribe for more news and internet shenanigans from around the world. See you around, my friends.